Hello.
Hi there.
Yeah, let's wait for this.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hello.
Okay. So should we wait a bit for Tracy? I'm not sure whether she joins. No. Yep. Tracy won't be able to join, and I'm not sure whether Kara will be able to join. So I guess we can proceed then. You see my screen?
Yep.
So, yes, we are back after the Christmas break. So we skipped 2 meetings on January 2nd and December 21st. Since the time, well, basically not that many things changed organization-wise. I mean, most of the meetings were cancelled anyway. There were no major changes. So today for the agenda, I added Tracy's announcement about the departure from the CDF. Today is actually her last day. So maybe we could just see how it maps our agenda. Are there any other news we would like to discuss? So maybe a question to Steve, since Deploy Hub is also leaving the CDF, how do you foresee involvement going forward?
Ortelius is still staying in the CDF, so Ortelius is going to be still part working, as a project, just as normal. So that shouldn't change anything on that side. So kind of being 1 foot in each camp.
That's okay. Well, there are of course a lot of financials to be handled, but yeah, project-wise, it doesn't change much for us. Thanks a lot for keeping contributing to Ortelius, CD events, etc.
Yeah, so I'll still be, involved from the Ortelius side and with the TOC. So no plans on that side. Just the deploy hub has moved over to the OpenSSF.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it could also help us to build more relationships with OpenSSF.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now we don't have much collaboration with them. We have Security SEEK, which is rather dormant by now. So maybe we could restart some bits. Okay, but yeah, thanks for the summary. So regarding Tracy's departure, unfortunately, she cannot join the meeting. We have Kara on the call. But yeah, what Tracy sent to the governing board is that today is her last day. So first of all, thanks to Tracy for leading the foundation and for all the contributions in different roles. So it's much appreciated, and hopefully we'll keep moving it forward. Yeah. So there is a slide deck Tracy shared, her vision about the CDF strategy. So maybe it's something we should review asynchronously and discuss at the next meeting. But yeah, basically it's a summary of what was presented to the TOC a couple of months ago. So the same objectives as were communicated, growing the project portfolio, growing end user ecosystem and collaboration, and basically driving CD events and other standards. So I guess so last time we discussed this strategy, everyone was on board. So I guess there will be some changes in terms of delivery, in terms of the priorities, just because the CDF has less resources until the slots are backfilled. So Jacqueline left and Tracy left. So currently we basically have Kara, half of Roxanne and half of Michelle. So thanks a lot to them for different projects. Yeah, right now I guess the bay and white will be strained. So we will need to pick our battles. Kara. Yeah. So basically, what else? So we've got a message that the Linux Foundation will be looking for new executive director. Timeline is TBD. But yeah, there is a draft of the job description written by Tracy.
Do you know who wrote that job description? Was that Tracy, or is that somebody from the Linux Foundation that wrote the job description?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, text-wise, it looks very reasonable. I'm not sure whether we have a say on that. I believe the process just starts. So, if you have some feedback, maybe you could write it down or just communicate directly to Chris so that we see what would be needed. Yeah, he's quite least, and yeah, there is a lot of requirements here. So. It's what we have. Maybe there will be some additional follow-up. And so the key item CD events, my understanding that Kara will be leading it forward from the CDF side. And
yes, from the CDF side, but the whole event SIG has been great and being involved, and I have them engaged on like gathering quotes, in support of the launch, things like that. So it is very much a group effort.
Yep. So what is remaining for us is firstly, getting the standard officially onboarded to the CDF. Still need to do that, and well, for the record, for shipwright too, we haven't finished the checklist there. Then once it's done, we could do some marketing, and as we discussed before, 1.0 version is likely far away, but we can at least start working towards that. In my case, I started talking to companies about the CD events adoption. We discussed it at the Jenkins governance board. We are generally on board that we would like to prioritize it, maybe through mentorship project, GSOC. Maybe we'll find some contributors, but right now there is no company contributor who would be willing to step in and drive adoption in Jenkins for this project. But maybe we'll find one.
Oleg, has the work that Shruti did last summer as part of the GSOC, has it continued to evolve and move forward, either by her or for other people?
No, it basically got stuck, so the plugin is released. It's basically aligned with cloud events, so you can connect tools, including Captain, for example, and receive the data. The problem with the implementation that it's not fully compliant with CD events, because CD events as standard evolved in parallel. So if you want to make this plugin for Jenkins fully compliant, we will need to do some additional investment. It's not a big one, but it's something we need to do. And for other projects, so we had Tecton interested. I'm not sure how it maps to Artelius and other projects.
Yes, Ortelius is working on its use case. And we'll be getting that to the CD events for them to look at and see what overlapping events we have with other use cases, and we're going to work out from there.
So we will definitely need to work to attract more adopters. So a few meetings ago, I shared the list of companies I'm talking to. But yeah, I think it will be a priority for us once the project is published. And the marketing launch, I believe it's fully up to Kara and Roxanne to coordinate it. But yeah, I guess there is no strict timing requirements for us right now, because we have a lot of job to do on the technical side, and for announcements, basically when it happens, it happens. So, anything else on CD events? Steve?
No, we just are like we're doing here, just getting back in the swing of having meetings and stuff like that. So just getting everything back on board. And like I said, we're going to be reaching out to use cases, trying to gather some use cases of what people are doing in the CI/CD world and how they can how we can transform that into an event-driven pipeline.
We have a talk at Fosden coming up, Eric and myself, about SIG events, and one of the things that would advertise a form to let people share their CD pipelines and how they're using events. Are they using events in CD today, and how? And yeah, use that to build use cases and invite people if they want to share their stories through the SIG events meetings. So to continue building use cases and real stories to use.
We may as well have a half-day working group or a series of talks, something focused on CD events at KubeCon EU, which would be amazing, but it's very early days of the planning of it. I wasn't even going to announce it in this meeting, but I've already told the SIG events group, as they'll be the primary group that's involved. But it would be great to have as many people there as possible. When it is finalized, I will be announcing it here, so probably in the next meeting, and we'll give a nice shout out and hopefully get people excited about it, because it should be a good event. It would be really nice to see everyone in person. I feel like that will be a great time to move forward on the work, as well as coordinate more on the launch of it and get some excitement going.
Would be really nice. Do you have approximate date for this event?
No, literally the conversation on it started yesterday. So it is very tentative at this point. I would hesitate to say it's definitely going to happen. It's very likely to happen, but the details are still being worked out.
Oh, that would be nice. Last time I decided to go to KubeCon, it was spring 2020, but yeah, hopefully this time it works out. So, and for the log, did we come to a conclusion? There were some additional updates from Eric, but it looks like we more or less concluded what would be the logo for CD events.
Yeah, I think we're practically there. The only thing we want to have three logos, so the full logo, so the stacked one and the icon, so to say, and there are two options for the icon. And I think so far we've commented that we would prefer one of the two options. Yeah, so I don't see any problem, or I don't envision any new iteration. So I think it would be the top one is the full logo, the middle one is a stacked one, and probably the bottom right hand side one would be the icon, which has the advantage of filling more. It's a bit more balanced if you put it within like a square or rectangular type of shape. Also, if you include it in diagrams, and so it's
something like that. It
Yeah.
looks to be a square. Sorry for my math skills, but yeah, I think that the Linux Foundation team will be able to sort it. But yeah, it looks like that we should be able to at least close this topic, and it's blocking all the announcements. So
Once we're absolutely sure of the set that we want, I can go back to the design team and move it forward to the final stage.
nice. Thanks, Karak.
this to events seek to finally agree. I'm not sure through voting, not through voting, and the last iteration. Yeah. Anything else in CD events?
No, I think that's most of it.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, one of the things that we started also working on is the roadmap for this year. So we're writing the documents so that we have a public roadmap for the project as well.
great. Thank you.
Could I ask you actually, because you probably have the most up-to-date knowledge on the state of that plugin, would you like to add information to the use cases doc for CD events for Jenkins?
Yeah. You mean writing this document?
There's already an existing doc of use cases, and I was just wondering if you would be willing to add in the Jenkins case. Okay, I'll ping you the details of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew about this document. Yeah.
Okay, great. You already have it. Okay, excellent.
Well, I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. I will do an action item for myself.
Thank you.
So maybe Mauricio will be also interested to participate. Well, he mostly switched to another project. Okay. So for the items we have on our roadmap, so CD events, public roadmap, basically all the same, just announcements left, and operations. During the inclusive naming initiative, no progress on the INI side. Tracy double checked it yesterday. I'm not sure how it's going to happen forward. Maybe Michelle will have access to the application. I talked to Stephen Augustus, and he also has no idea what is the timeline, because he thought that everything is handled, but it's not. Let's see. We'll clean up the CDF landscape. Kara, are you still actively working on it?
My personal work on it has slowed down because of shifting priorities, but we did just merge in finally the redo of observability in that category. So I think that looks much better. You know, if I was to looking at it now, I think the section that needs the most work is our automation section. I feel like it's a bit, we have a continuous automation section, and I'm not sure what's up with that. I feel like that could easily get reworked over for benefit. I don't know how much time I have to put towards it, but it's something I'll be keeping an eye on. And if anybody would like to take that up, or any of the other issues we have on that repo, that would be wonderful.
Thank you. So I'm not actively looking right now. I guess so. There is CD events pull request, which we will eventually need to get over the line. And yeah, there is a number of suggestions from Steven and from others about improving things. I'm not sure. Do you consider these suggestions in this iteration, or is it for the future?
Well, at this point, I would consider it ongoing work, and whoever really wants to pick it up and make a PR, that would be fantastic. A lot of the suggestions are quite broad, as in we should have this category, rather than specific, as in this is how it relates to other categories, this is what should be in it, this is how things should move. So in that sense, a lot of the thought work still needs to be done, but if anyone is interested in taking up any of these suggestions or making your own and sort of working out an implementation of it and how it would actually look, that would be great.
So, yeah, thanks for the update. Yeah, so the next one, streamline, simplify project onboarding. There we actually had a lot of action items on Tracy, mostly based on the feedback. So the question is, does anybody want to take these action items in short term? Or should we just assign Tracy and keep it in the backlog? And license requirements, document links, foundation, trademark, reference, document, patent transfer expectations. So these items require inputs from the Linux Foundation. We are not really able to iterate on them on our own. Yeah, owner transfer requirements for channels and social media. It's also something for the Linux Foundation to decide, because yeah, I don't know what is the current policy. I unassigned Tracy for now. If anyone is willing to take them, it would be nice. Or I guess we can just park it indefinitely. So what else do you have on the list? So Tecton Security Audit, do you have any news for that? Right.
Sorry, which one is it?
Tecton Security Audit.
Yeah, so we have an initial meeting coming up in February, I believe, around the middle of February, where we have initial sync between some of the Tecton folks and Trace of Bit representative. And I think Tracy just sent the invite, and probably Chris will be there instead of Tracy. But yeah, so it's getting closer.
Great. So, and Captain, we basically stuck, but I guess Tecton will go first.
Hi. I just had that, like question. If I should, like open, so should I create, like an issue for the, like if we want to do a security audit for like Jenkins X, maybe 6 months to 8 months down the line, because I think there is a big, waiting line for it, like a period. Also, I think Jenkins X needs to work towards becoming, like a graduated, like project, which will take some time as we are rebuilding the community in some sorts. So I just want to know what's the right thing to do for me now.
So I guess it would need a request to CDF governing board, because yeah, the question there is budgeting. The security audits, they actually, I'm not sure, they cost 20K or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what is the budgeting cycle for this year in the CDF, but submitting a request, I mean, on a foundation side, so CD foundation, and then the raising it to the governing board seems to be the best way to go.
Okay.
Mhm. So, yeah. So contributing role, no updates. The transfer Jenkins X infrastructure to the CDF. Maybe you could help. What is the current status there?
Is it for me? Were you asking me?
Yes, because Tracy closed this ticket. So I'm not sure whether you know what actually happened there.
So all I know is we use like CDF infra for the tests. That is all I know. I can ask James and update the ticket, but I don't have any other updates on this. Actually, I would like to know. So James told me that we got the GKE cluster for this, but what about say Amazon, like Azure, because Jenkins X has some tests that we could use some, like Amazon and maybe, like Azure to run some tests. We can, of course, like try to give some kind of a, like budget on like how much we think it's going to cost. But I don't know what is, like the procedure for that. I mean, like we're not going to like spend have like GPU instances running or something, but like we can run some kind of, like spot like instances to keep the costs as low as possible. But that would help us in keeping the project more, like stable, because all of the tests we run, it just runs on like Google. And so when we come out with a new feature or something, it's hard to, it's kind of difficult for us to be sure that it works for, like Amazon or, like Azure. And we have quite a few people who actually use that. Like I actually use it on, like EKS. So it would really help in keeping the project stable. So what is the right procedure for this? Like I can come out with some kind of, like estimates, how much it would cost. And then maybe like, should I create a ticket on that with some, like details?
Yeah, so what I can see that in December, there was a review of budget for the upcoming year. And basically the decision was that the budget would remain the same for infrastructure. But this infrastructure budget is shared between all projects. So we will, if we add something, then probably we will need to remove something because we are close to the budget usage limit at the moment.
Okay.
So that's why it's better to submit a ticket, maybe review it with Kara. We will likely need Mark and Damien Portal from Jenkins to see what other.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, because the situation that Jenkins uses both AWS and Azure, and we transferred none of them to the CDF completely. So for Azure, we mostly transferred it. For AWS, we haven't even started yet.
Okay. I did see that, like AWS has some kind of, like program for like to kind of give, like credits for like open source projects. So maybe I can also take a look at that, and that would make sense. Okay, thanks.
Options.
Great, thank you, Adam.
Yeah, so just jumping down real quick, Ortelius is going to be in the same boat where we're going to need some Kubernetes resources. Looking in, I think Q2, So we're currently running under Deploy Hub's credits. So Deploy Hub was able to get startup credits from Microsoft. And those are going to expire, I believe, in June. So we will be needing that as well. And for us, it doesn't matter, you know, whether it's going to be on Azure or AWS or GKE. And we don't need our own dedicated cluster. We can live with somebody else.
Sorted, but the infrastructure topics are always complicated. I'm not sure whether the Linux Foundation has any pending agreements with public cloud providers. So there is internal compute infrastructure served by the Linux Foundation. But well, I believe it currently has Kubernetes, but it doesn't have a public cloud. So for example, for Jenkins X, it's not really efficient to use it. Same for any other integrations.
And then I did run into one person at Oracle. I'd have to hunt down their information again, but supposedly Oracle has a cloud that they're building out and are working to try to unseat Google. So we may be able to get some credits from Oracle on their cloud.
We did that with Jenkins. So we went through partnership, but actually the number of credits we got was really low. So we expected a bit higher when we started the process, and yeah, we have these credits. So you can ask in the Jenkins mailing list, but it was significantly lower than our expectation.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to move a significant part of our infrastructure there. But we do it for some integration testing these days. Well, as always, infrastructure budget becomes a problem, and you likely need to do something about that. Okay. Anything else about the infrastructure? Nothing, moving on. So LFX security, so you got it running for Telios?
I got the ticket got updated last week from the LFX tool side, the LFX security side actually. So we have to go in and install the LFX security bot into our Oregon repos. So that's our next step. It's moving along just slowly.
Yeah. Well, on the Jenkins side, we stopped LFX project. We were able to get support for LFX security to the 0 release, because currently we cannot use LFX security for Jenkins. We talked a lot with the Linux Foundation team, with LFX team, with Sneak. We found a few opportunities, but at the end of the day, we wouldn't be able to move forward without the support from the Linux Foundation. So we stopped for now. Once there is more bandwidth on the LFX team, we could reconvene.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it shows up. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to report.
Yeah, well, it's basically Sneak. So it works as Sneak. You get a lot of vulnerability reports, and dependency scanning, license tracking, and it's really handy. So what was a blocker for Jenkins? It's not per se a problem of Sneak of LFX security, it's a problem of our packaging model, because how we declare packaging modes in Maven is not something that is properly interpreted by Sneak by default. And although there are ways to reconfigure Sneak, these ways are not available for LFX security. So we were basically dead in water there.
Yeah, and that's what because we build a bunch of containers, it'll be interesting to see what they do on that front.
Hopefully. Currently, there is also terminology scanning being introduced. So it's, yeah, if you have access to the Security 2.0, you can also scan for terminology and basically for I mean, plain text. Okay. And the next item for us is Google Summer of Code, which is actually coming soon. So the question firstly is whether we have Continuous Delivery Foundation participating this year. It would be nice to get feedback from Kara, who was org admin last year. I'm not sure who else. So it's just Kara and me left from the GSOC team.
I love Google Summer of Code and would love to be involved with it. I straight up, I don't know if I have the bandwidth to do it right now. There's just very, there's a lot to do and no one else.
Yeah, if you look up at the I can't remember if it's under FAQs or if it was under the guides, but they want us to propose 170, I think it's like 175 hour project and a 300 and something hour project. So to have both of those available. So I'm with you, Kara. The bandwidth is getting a little thin.
Jenkins will participate. There was a decision that Jenkins would participate as a separate organization this year because, yeah, there was always this balance between Jenkins and the rest of the organization. So currently, Mark, Jean-Marc, and yeah, and Alisa Tonk, they lead this effort. So I won't be participating as GSOC org admin in Jenkins this year. I will be driving captain. I might be available for the CDF matters to some extent, but to do so, we need to decide whether we run, because it's still a quite big time investment to get all the application in, to get project ideas, to get all the evaluations. Right now, I'm not sure if it's just so if it's only Artelios planning to participate. Again, for Artelios, it might be better to participate as a separate organization than CDF.
That's what I will find out later this week on that topic, on how Artelios is going to want to participate.
How about other projects? So Tecton, Shipwright, CD events. I think. So for CD events, I guess we could definitely run something. The problem is finding mentors. Yeah, speaking of that, we still have 10K budget from the previous year, which we tentatively discussed allocating with CD events mentorship. But yeah, if JSOC, it's also possible.
Yeah, definitely. It would be interesting to have someone running a project there. But so it would need to be we would need to apply a CDF. You mean, or would it be possible to apply directly? What do you think? It's
So I think Oleg's saying that Jenkins will be running its own GSOC program this year. So if CD events wanted to further the work with Jenkins, this would be a great way to do it. It'd be really, really fantastic. If you want to be mentor, that'd be awesome too. So yeah, I mean, it's well worth saying that last year Jenkins was by far the project that had the most engagement with GSOC. And although we did have a little bit of other outside Jenkins students, and I wouldn't want to leave them, if there were any other projects that did want to run a GSOC, I don't want them to feel unsupported in this. So what I would say is that with my experience with GSOC, and I would imagine other people would feel the same, that if there was a project that wanted to run GSOC this year, I'm more than happy to to advise them and support them and help them. I don't know if it will be done within the CDF itself, but certainly as a CDF project, we would give them support.
All right, cool, thanks.
So basically, we still have some time. So applications open only on February 7th. We have documentation for the CDF, so applying is not a big deal. The problem is having project ideas. So if you have critical mass of project ideas, let's say 5-ish or so, then we can submit an application as the CDF.
Yeah, so for the size of Ortelius, I don't think we will be able to have the right number of mentors to be able to pull off what we need to make it successful. So I'm gonna, like I said, we have a meeting coming up this week that I'll double confirm that to see how Ortelius would want to move forward.
The worst case, we can create several CD events adapter projects. So for Jenkins, yes, on Tekton, Spinnaker, GitLab, GitHub, etc. Done. So the question is how we would find mentors. Should we proceed with these projects? But all of them totally make sense. From the
Yeah,
current,
because from my understanding, you need at least 2 to 3 mentors per person
yep.
to really make it work.
Yeah, it was a bit more relaxed last year when the projects were twice smaller, but it's still quite a big time commitment. So it's not something you can do just by a few hours a month. It requires significant time dedication on a continuous basis. But if someone is willing to, why not? So for me, the idea would be basically to find company sponsors. So for example, okay, we discussed doing integration of CD events with GitLab. And if there are mentors from GitLab who would be interested to participate, we could also have somebody from the CD events community. Somebody uses GitLab, for example, and it seems like a workable approach. Same for Jenkins, same for anything else.
Right, and that's where from the Ortelius side, the Ortelius Deploy Hub would be working on the events that we kind of touch our world, that we would be working on those down the road. But like I said, the first step that we're going through is identifying, the requirements. That's where we're at right now, is trying to figure out what people need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's reconvene on this topic in 2 weeks. So the next meeting, we can just make a decision whether we participate or not. If anyone is interested, talk to your community, SIGs, etc., to see whether we have potential mentors. And if you have enough people interested, then it should be could apply.
Sounds good.
Then thanks everyone.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah. So see you in 2 weeks.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.